The Tech News Hour on Switch Brisbane. Good evening, Brisbane, and welcome to TechNut's Tech News Hour. Coming up on tonight's program, Apple announces the end of the iPod, Nvidia announces open source drivers for Linux, Microsoft has a new range of accessibility controllers, and SIM swappers are stealing phone numbers to drain your bank account. All that and more with the Tech News Hour here on Switch Brisbane. The Tech News Hour on Switch Brisbane. Apple announces the end for the iPod. The late Steve Jobs announced the first iPod nearly 21 years ago, before the iPhone, before the iPad, with a string of famous models, the iPad Mini and the first generation iPod Nano, both promising 1,000 songs in your pocket and transforming what consumers expect from an MP3 player, killing off cassette and CD-based Walkmans in the process. The iPod, well renowned for saving Apple from near bankruptcy, also legitimized music downloading, while cementing change to record companies that Napster popularized with its not-so-legitimate ways, that is, buying individual songs instead of whole albums, where you could buy an individual song for 99 cents. But with streaming now taking the lead in how we consume music, alongside radio, the iPod lives on, but now in spirit only. This is TechNut, you're listening to the Tech News Hour here on Switch Brisbane. The Tech News Hour on Switch Brisbane. Nvidia has announced that it will be open sourcing the Linux drivers for its graphics cards. Linux users have previously been catered for by AMD and Intel for their GPU driver needs, fitting as both make CPUs for data centers and mass computing projects, commonly run on Linux-based operating systems for the configurability and the convenience. The new open-source NVIDIA GPU kernel modules will simplify installations and increase security for Ubuntu users, whether they're developers, gamers, or cloud users, says Cindy Goldberg. NVIDIA say that with each new driver release, they will be publishing the sources mentioned on GitHub, and they will be accepting contributions for the first time from the community and other developers. All good news, and competition is great among GPU vendors. This is TechNut, this is the Tech News Hour here on Switch Brisbane. Tech News Hour on Switch Brisbane. The Tech News Hour on Switch Brisbane. Microsoft announced a new range of accessibility-focused accessories to assist those who have trouble using a traditional mouse or keyboard access technology. Created in partnership with people with disabilities, the new accessories consist of three main components: an adaptive mouse, some adaptive buttons, and an adaptive hub. The adaptive hub can replace or augment a regular keyboard. It can also be paired with up to 4 wireless active buttons that can offer different button toppers. These include a D-pad, joystick, or even dual buttons. The adaptive mouse can be customized with a thumb support or even a tail extension, or it can even be used flat. This replaces the existing accessibility controller module that Microsoft released for the Xbox One with connectable inputs that could be switched to perform tasks which you would normally do with a traditional Xbox hand controller, where you could say have a large push button that could replace an up or a down button, or even motion controls where you could use your body to replace the joysticks. Quite interesting features, and they've been known to be modified or used to modify controllers for people who could be missing a limb, or they could have motor function issues with one hand due to an accident, and this just allows more people to get into gaming in a much more convenient and friendly way for that person. This is TechNut. You're listening to the Tech News Hour here on Switch Brisbane. The Tech News Hour on Switch Brisbane. Scammers are stealing phone numbers to steal from bank accounts. An increasingly popular form of swindle, known as a SIM swap, works by scammers buying a new SIM card and then taking your mobile phone number using your personal identity or details that they've managed to obtain from phishing emails or from phone calls or from text messages claiming to be from their bank, government agency or postal service. With a SIM swap, The scammer has access to your new text messages, commonly used for two-factor authentication, to then steal money from victims' bank accounts and lock users out of their email accounts and social media accounts. The Australian Communications and Media Authority advises anyone who suspects they have been victims of phone number fraud to contact their provider and bank immediately. It's also worth noting that if you're using the same password for your email accounts as you do for other accounts online, it's a good idea to change at least your email account so that at least that one is protected. Because if you've got access to someone's email account, you generally can get access to their social media accounts and other things like that as well. This is TechNut. This is the Tech News Hour here on Switch Brisbane. Listen to Switch Brisbane in excellent quality. Just ask your smart speaker. Play Switch Brisbane.
Streaming Switch Brisbane from TuneIn.
Switch.